what is everybody? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. The sentencing of Richard Allen, Delphi, Indiana, happened this morning. Carroll County, same courthouse. Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years, 65 years for each. Abby Williams, Liberty German, 65 years for each. Murder. Come on in, welcome. So, they are set to have a press conference, allegedly. So, I thought I'd show you guys some footage and see if there's going to be a press conference. Oh, there's the cutter. Oh, give a shout out to Barbara. Barbara McDonald. She's a sweetheart. So again, Richard Allen sentenced. $130 years. Victim impact speeches came from the family. Judge Gall said this ranks right up there with the most heinous thing that she's ever presided over in her 27 years, and that Richard Allen just continues to roll his eyes at her. Yeah, Gall, sounds good. Right there, that's the cutter. She cut in line. I'm sure you guys remember her. So again, Richard Allen, 130 years, 65 for each. The death of Abby and Libby, 65 and 65. Let's see. Oh, I accidentally hit the wrong button here. Let me get you guys in on my subscribers. You guys are supposed to be able to chat. I didn't realize it was members only. Now, I don't stand by anything that we're going to hear reporting here, because I wasn't inside that courtroom. So take whatever is being said with a grain of salt. So they have a little issue with being transparent and truthful in all that goes on in the court. It's just, this is going to be there from their eyes. Their eyes.
Hey there, it's Drew. Hey, just double checking. What FS we're on? Bob and
I. Good morning. If you guys haven't been paying attention, Columbus Subs Brewing, Columbus, Ohio, with this last triple homicide that followed a single homicide, all related. Drugs. And we're trying to see if it's related to a 2021 incident, rather.
Okay.
The gag order should be lifted. There is scheduled to be a press conference. That's the news that I have gotten. I'm waiting, standing by. So, hello, everybody.
Hey there, this is Drew.
Remember, there was a gag order in this case. Nobody could talk about anything. So, Judge Gall. Are we going to see the real video now? I know that the prosecutor asked that the autopsy photos be sealed and the crime scene photos be sealed. I think everything else is going to be public. So crime scene photos and autopsy
Mic check, mic check. You guys all right?
photos were asked by Nick to be sealed. So everything else should be good to go. What's up, Julie Melvin? Give a shout out to Julie. Julie was boots on the ground, and she's been since day one. So Julie says, we expected nothing less from Judge Gall. There are still killers of Abby and Libby walking free, and relieved that there was so much corruption that covered the others. I would concur. Yes. The press conference is being held in a different location. Yeah, I believe that it is.
I can, yes.
Again, reporting that the crime scene photos and the autopsy photos were asked by Nick to be sealed. So everything else should be good to go as far as what people are going to be able to ever get their hands on. So I'm letting you guys hear a little blurb from Bob Siegel, who sat right behind Richard Allen. Yes, at Canal Place. Yes. And so we have eye watches over there to see when they're going to go live. Estrella says, I've never seen a case that upsets me this much. For people to think that this isn't going to go back and
Good morning, 10:18,
have another
and we're interrupting
go
your
at it. They're
regularly
wild.
scheduled program for breaking news. A sentence in the Delphi murders trial has just been handed down to Richard Allen. He has been sentenced to 130 years. We have a full team on the scene in Delphi. We'll start with Bob C.
They had some mic issues here.
Bob, 130 years you're hearing. Tell us more, please.
Felicia, I was inside the courtroom sitting right behind Richard Allen when this sentence was handed down by Judge Frances Gall. The judge said that, in her words, she said to Richard Allen, you rank right up there with the most hideous crimes that she has presided over in her 27 years as she's been presiding over criminal cases here in Indiana. For that reason, she sentenced Richard Allen to the maximum amount of time in prison that she could. Like you said, 130 years, 65 years for the murder of Abby Williams, 65 years for the murder of Libby German. She also told the court this morning that there was an extraordinary impact on the families of the two girls. She said it was a generational impact. That is actually a term that was coined by Libby's grandmother in speaking to the judge and in speaking to the courtroom, saying the impact of these murders is going to last for generations, not only for their family, but also for this community here in Carroll County. Judge Frances Gall said these families will deal with your carnage forever, as she looked directly at Richard Allen. At that point, she said, you sit there and continue to just roll your eyes at me. And it was moments after that she announced the maximum sentence that she can impose. Now, we should point out there were actually 4 murder charges against Richard Allen,
Okay.
2 for the murders of Abby, 2 for the murders of Libby. Under Indiana state law, an individual can only be sentenced for murdering an individual once. So therefore, counts 1 and 2, those were dismissed by the judge. Counts 3 and 4, again, a count each of murder against Abby, and the murder of Libby. Those are what the judge ended up sentencing Allen for here this morning. He will now be assigned a public defender. The prosecutor, Nick McLeland, asked the judge to seal the autopsy photos and the crime scene photos moving forward. And those photos were a big part of this morning's hearing. The families of Abby and Libby really lashed out against the defense team, saying that they allowed, through recklessness, for those photos to be leaked online, causing tremendous harm to the families moving forward. And they asked the judge to really take that into consideration as well. The judge was able to take some mitigating factors into consideration when she handed down the sentences. She said that she would take into consideration that Richard Allen has no previous criminal history, but she said based on the heinous nature of the crimes, she did not give that a lot of weight. She did not give any weight to the circumstances involving what the defense had asked the judge to consider his previous military service, and putting him behind bars would cause a hardship on his family and on Richard Allen's wife. The judge said any time that someone is put behind bars, that is a hardship to the family, so she would not take that into consideration. She did say simply the horrific nature of the crimes really played a big impact in her decision to give the maximum 130 years. Now, before the judge announced her sentence, we did get to hear from family members of the victims. We heard from Carrie Timmons, that is Libby's mother. She said that this has been absolute hell for Abby and Libby's families and friends over the last 8 years. She said she was left with a literal hole in my soul. She said she still struggles daily with guilt and anxiety. And she said, and I'll quote here, "I'll never understand how you were able to get away with this for so long," speaking directly to Richard Allen. The grandparents of both Abby and Libby also spoke to the court, at times speaking directly to Richard Allen. They said that they cannot forgive him at this point, that they hope in the future they'll be able to find that forgiveness. But right now they still sit with a tremendous amount of pain that they say will never go away. We will certainly have much more about what was said in court, about very powerful impact statements. We are expecting perhaps for the families to come out and speak with the media. We know that Indiana State Police are going to speak with the media. We expect the prosecution team to speak to the media now that Judge Francis Gall has lifted what has been a gag order for more than a year. At the very end of the hearing this morning, she said that she was officially lifting that gag order, which means now that we can hear from the parties in the case, the prosecution, the defense, the families who have.
All right, this guy's just absolutely off his rocker.
Trial, and really for more than a year now leading up to the trial. So again, we will bring you the statements that we hear from all the parties involved, and we will have more about what happened in the courtroom coming up at noon and throughout the day here on 13 News. Felicia.
But we have just a few more questions before you go. What was the reaction in the courtroom when this sentence was handed down?
Certainly not any reaction of surprise at all. The families did ask for Judge Gall to impose the maximum sentence, which is exactly what she did. I think a lot of legal observers and those of us who have been following this case all along expected that maximum sentence to be handed down. There was no reaction whatsoever from Richard Allen or from the defense team. The defense team, Felicia, didn't really say anything. They submitted a memo a couple days ago. They told the judge, we're going to let that memo speak for itself. And in that memo, they said, we're not really going to spend a lot of time trying to convince you to limit the sentence, because at this point, the defense team is putting their stock in the appeals process. They say we are going to appeal, and at appeal, we expect that we will get a fair appeal. They've accused throughout the trial the judge of not being impartial, and they believe that they may have a better chance to be able to get all of this reversed once the case does go to the Indiana Court of Appeals.
To an impartial
We did know yesterday that
panel.
They did not plan to speak. They did not plan to offer any words. Have there been any signs of remorse from Richard Allen throughout this process?
Remorse?
He's been in the courtroom since day one.
How could you have remorse for something you didn't do? What a stupid question. This man has maintained his innocence from jump. Okay? Fire her.
So it's a good question, Felicia, because, we heard during the trial.
And he says it's a good question. This is exactly, you guys. You're either a Bob person or you're a Lana person. That's a great. I'm dead. Hold on one second. I want to hear this again. I want to hear him say this is a great question. You are such a fucking idiot.
From Richard Allen throughout this process. You've been in the courtroom since day one.
So it's a good question, Felicia, because, we heard during the trial that Richard Allen, in speaking with the psychologist at the prison and in some of the things that he wrote to the warden and said to some of the guards.
Bob, do you understand the question? Do you understand the assignment, right? The question was, did you see any remorse from Richard Allen today in the courtroom? This is how he answers it. Word salad. Word salad. What are you even talking about?
So it's a good question, Felicia, because, we heard during the trial that Richard Allen, in speaking with the psychologist at the prison and in some of the things that he wrote to the warden and said to some of the guards and other inmates in prison, according to statements that he made, confessions, he wanted to apologize to the family. So far, there has been no apology. And in fact, Richard Allen and his defense team maintain that he is innocent, that he did not commit these crimes. And despite more than 60 incriminating statements that he made behind bars,
there was not 60
they say those statements were coerced.
They were
They
hearsay.
say that he was suffering from psychosis at the time that he made those statements and that he did not commit these crimes. Of course, a jury determined otherwise, and they believed the state's position that Richard Allen was thinking clearly when he made all of those statements. So whether those statements should have even been admitted at all and presented to the jury, that's one of the issues that we expect Richard Allen's defense team will bring up on appeal.
Bunch of idiots writing shit down. You can write whatever the fuck you
heard
wanted.
About what a timeline for an appeal could look like.
Well, essentially, that appeal could be filed later on this afternoon if a defense team wanted to do that. But in court today, after she told Richard Allen that he was being sentenced to 130 years in prison, she asked if he wanted the judge to appoint public defenders for his appeal. He responded that he did. Traditionally, it would not be the same attorneys representing a client on appeal as during the trial. We suspect there might be the possibility that Richard Allen would want the same attorneys to represent him before the Court of Appeals. That would be somewhat unusual, but it is at least a possibility. We will wait to see who might be appointed and whether or not there might be the same attorneys. I do not think that that is something that Judge Francis Gall would choose for Richard Allen to have the same attorneys, but that decision will not be made by her.
Okay. And then you mentioned that the gag order has been lifted. Do you anticipate hearing from any other folks who have participated in this trial that we haven't necessarily heard from before? Any signs that the jury, members of the jury could speak, or that we could have any witnesses come out with more details? Any speculation on that?
I don't have speculation on that. Now that the gag order is lifted, it opens the possibility that we could hear from any of the players involved. Law enforcement, there was only one witness who spoke today, and that was Jerry Holman, who is a lead investigator
Jerry fucking Holman
for Indiana State Police. He had some very strong statements that we heard as he took the stand today. He said,
"Wait, Jerry Holman spoke at the freaking sentencing? What? Why?"
Law enforcement put their hearts and souls into this case. And he said, I believe that Richard Allen is a danger to society because he has a lack of remorse, and that he used, in Jerry Holman's words, Richard Allen used religion to manipulate people in his life as it pertained to this case. So we expect we're going to hear quite a bit from law enforcement here over the course of the next hour or two now that they are allowed to speak. In fact, they're going to have a press conference here that should be starting in just a little while. As far as other players, as far as Richard Allen's family, by the way, his wife and mother, who have been here throughout the entire trial, they were not in court today. And we know that in speaking with the defense attorneys, that's not because they didn't want to be here to support him, but because Richard Allen asked for his family not to be here for the sentencing today. So whether or not we could hear from Richard Allen's families, whether or not the families of Abby and Libby are going to speak out, we don't know for sure, but we expect that they're going to. And we should point out that as part of their victim impact statements today, they spoke over and over again about their appreciation and gratitude to law enforcement, to the prosecutor, and to the prosecution team, to the.
Yes, thank you guys for, keeping all of us out of fucking hot water. We really strongly appreciate you guys. Not, highlighting all the lies that we've told. Maybe they're not lies, but whoops.
Entire community for their love and support that they've received throughout this entire process. I anticipate they may want to reiterate those statements again directly to the community.
I cannot believe that Jerry Holman spoke at sentencing. That is so uncharacteristic. I don't even have words, but it's so point spot on for Delphi. I mean, that guy has every day, Jerry Holman probably takes the biggest shit and throws up before he, when he wakes up, when he goes to sleep, the guilt. And if he doesn't feel guilt, yeah, I mean, maybe people like him don't, but.
Community and to the people who they are so grateful for their help. So speaking publicly and on camera would give them a chance to do that later today.
Okay, Bob Siegel, we know that you just got this information and you brought it to us as soon as possible. And we know that there's still an active scene to kind of work and kind of get the lay of the land. We appreciate you standing out in the cold and the snow to bring us this information. Bob Siegel reporting live in Carroll County Courthouse in Delphi. We will check back in. We know we have rest of our team members also out there reporting. Let's recap. We just received this breaking news into our newsroom.
Let's not recap.
Luigi Mangione.
Okay. We're not going to recap that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't even know what to say. This is wild. I'm glad that Kathy wasn't there to witness this crap. People talking shit, and I wouldn't want to. I don't know, because I would want to go there and say that I know for me as who I am as a human, I would have been there, because nothing that any of these motherfuckers say has any it doesn't change. I feel for them for that they lost their family. If I would have been in Kathy's shoes, family members and stuff like that, and but you have the wrong person. But nothing that you're going to say is going to make me not sleep, because Richard Allen's innocent. And if the truth was allowed to come out at trial, or at least if Richard Allen was able to put on a defense at trial, like every single person in the United States of America has the right to do, to defend yourself against such allegations, and now to be convicted of that, you don't have the right to defend yourself. You don't have the right to present evidence that these fucking police officers who then talked at sentencing used and did throughout the investigation of this case. I can't use that. Get the fuck out of here. That's not the United States of America. I mean, I don't know what planet Indiana is on right now, but I'm embarrassed to be a bordering state. This isn't how the United States of America operates. 2 little girls lost their lives, and by lying and putting out this false narrative, that type of shit's just going to happen again. So, but defendants have the right to put on a defense. Judges, they are the referee. Okay. but you don't get to handicap one side and then give the other side everything. This was not an impartial judge, biased left and right. 100%. All of those franks should have been heard. So much stuff on the prosecution side should have been suppressed. How do you lose all of your reports, your interviews, everything in the first how many weeks, months? Absolutely absurd. And Carrie, one thing that Carrie said that was interesting to me is, how you were able to go undetected. What do you mean, Carrie? How he was able to go undetected? He didn't do anything to go undetected. He stayed in Delphi. He lived there. He didn't move. He didn't leave. He didn't do anything to go undetected. You should look at the police officers. That's why he went undetected. If you want to look at the police officers and say that shit, but Richard Allen didn't go undetected. Richard Allen didn't change his appearance. Richard Allen didn't move. And according to the investigation, Richard Allen did nothing of the sort to, elude police in terms of who walks through a park and is seen by everybody and their mother versus walking through the woods part and to be lying in wait, and you would go through the woods. You wouldn't be walking on the friggin' path, on the damn pavement. That's absolutely absurd. Okay? If you're going to lie in wait to go murder people. Kids at that. Absolutely ridiculous. Only people that didn't do their jobs are the police officers who are now speaking at sentencing hearing. I just, wow. Just, wow. Look it up, guys. Tell me the last time a police officer has spoken at someone's sentencing. Why did I would have lodged an objection if I was the defense. Sick. The timeline is so skewed. I saw no evidence in that courtroom, anything to do with that timeline they presented. That timeline is shit. That timeline is not backed by anything. Nothing. And good old Betsy Blair took a 20-some minute shit in the fucking library and then came back and finished her walk. Get out of here. Nobody with the runs goes back to go run. All right? That's like house long to die in the cold. House long to take a shit, Betsy, and go back and shit some more. I'm sorry, but the defense screwed the pooch on this timeline. And they needed to nail that down because they should have. Because I would have been showing how Betsy Blair she saw everybody on her first loop, not on her third loop. It's right there if you break down the timeline. And there was no time spent on the timeline. And I'm upset about that. And as much as I love the defense, I'm also not going to sugarcoat that I think that they royally messed up with that. And in trial 2, I know there's going to be a trial 2. That better be the thing that you're talking about. Okay? And you better be handing the jurors visual aids, an Excel spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation. Okay? Breaking that all down. There is going to be a trial 2. And none of this shit that the first jury saw is going to be admissible. People, inmates watching another inmate and just able to write whatever on a piece of paper that they supposedly said in a cell. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Y'all know how wild that is? Out of here. A shrink being in all these Facebook groups. Unbelievable. And the defense messed up on that too. There should have been a rebuttal person called and shown here's all these Facebook groups. This is what was being said in those Facebook groups. Here's the Excel spreadsheet that goes, these are the dates of the postings. This is the date of this. They need a timeline guru that can show chronological order what truly happened over the course of 5 years. I think I'd be a really huge asset to somebody's defense team as far as timelines go. There's certain things like you just can't get past. You can't get to certain things until you clear up certain things in an investigation. But jurors these days, and I don't think it's ever changed, you need to take stuff back to the deliberating room, because guess what can happen back there? When we're all deliberating, right? And your notes say something, but my notes say something else, right? It doesn't matter. But if you actually they have no here, I don't care what you wrote down with your little timeline or what this person said or what that person said. Here's the exhibit that we get. This is the defense's timeline compared to what the prosecution said. We need that. As jurors, if I was on a jury, I would want that. I don't want my fellow jurors to be able to go back into a deliberating room with me and be able to say, well, the instructions say that not to rely on our notes. It's just for like help. And that if I remember it this way and you remember it that way, it doesn't make you right or me right. I don't want to be dealing with people like that back in a deliberating room and telling them that their memory sucks or they have comprehension problems. I would want to say, no, this is the prosecution's, here they go. This is their Excel spreadsheet. And this is the defense's Excel spreadsheet, period. So that better happen in trial too. And if you don't do it, shame on you. Sorry, but that stuff pisses me off. Saying a jury's not going to be able to follow along or you're going to lose the jury. Well, I think 30 to 60-year-olds can follow a piece of paper that's an Excel spreadsheet that has a date and a timestamp. And then the next line has a date and a timestamp. And it has a description of what happened that day. Like, stop. People need visual aids. Now, this is ridiculous. Richard Allen, in my opinion, is 100% innocent based on me being in Delphi and actually physically seeing what I saw. Listening to these mainstream media people talk about the parts that they want to talk about. It's infuriating. So let's see. I don't know what time they're going to be doing this press conference. You would just think that it would happen right after. Very strange that it's just not. So I guess allegedly, let's see what we got here. WSBT TV. Officials and family members speak after the sentencing of Richard Allen, who was convicted of double murder. So let's see if there's anything. Oh, wait, here we go. I think we got something. All right, here we go. There we go. Found it. Hasn't started yet. I can't believe 12 voted guilty. Yeah. I want to know what happened in that deliberating room. how anybody thinks it's okay to, I mean, if they would have been watching the same thing we were watching, this man maintains his innocence like crazy style. And it's not till after the treatment of what happened at the prisons. So let's see. Yeah, they're like setting everything up. And then all I know is that then they take their camera off, and now it's just waiting here live. You know, it's just doing this. So they haven't started yet. Yeah, didn't the news guy say the jurors were not going to speak? No. The jurors can do whatever they want. Julie says, I think the families know they'll never get closure waiting on the real killers to be caught, so they bury their heads in going along with the verdict and sentencing. I think if anybody does their own research and watches a video to see all the different statements that were made by the family and how how their stories have changed, people want to say, no, they didn't change. No, they did change. They did change. They 100% changed. So, or they're just adding to it. No. Gray Hughes has been pushing a complete crazy train over there. And I can't even believe it. But if you ever want to take the time to just listen to what, they say, it's, how is there not one vehicle from the family on that damn Harvest video surveillance camera? How was there no video surveillance camera showing of anybody walking up and down 300 over there looking for the girls? How is there no camera that caught any of these vehicles? Oh, because we all came from the other way. Get out of here. No way do I believe that. No way. The amount of people that were helping out, where's those? Give me the whole camera from that whole entire day. You didn't go and get it. That isn't available. I'm going to work my ass off to get the entire discovery in this case. I don't need no crime scene photos. I don't want autopsy photos. I want all the reports. I want all the surveillance cameras. Because I believe there's stuff in that discovery that probably somebody hasn't even found yet. Or that they don't realize it's important. Just give me the damn discovery. I want the mounds of hard drives. So I don't know when this is supposed to start. But waiting. I'll tell you the only thing that, if I would have known they were doing this, I will say this, if I would have known this was all happening, for sure, I would have actually went to this. Because to go and ask questions at this presser at the end, that's the only thing that would have been worth a damn. I don't know, maybe we'll have a surprise appearance by Andrea. I don't think she's there, though. To think that I couldn't defend myself the way that I wanted to defend myself, and I'm being charged for, 2 heinous crimes 5 years later, and I can't defend myself the way that I want to defend myself, and I can't have, I can't show third-party culpability. Get out of here. Not even that. I just can't. I would have been demanding that my lawyers call the kids as boyfriends. Oh, there you go.
I was here. I didn't get right up close to it.
The gag order is over. Yes.
They're both going to be. Yep.
Here it is. It ain't over. Yeah. Can you imagine the jury not being told that Abby and Libby, or just one of them, because they used that same phone, like Libby would let her use it, were in contact with people to meet up, and they were sharing sexual images with people? Are you kidding me? How could that not be shown and told to the jury? Are you kidding me? How could that not be shown and told to the jury? That is why I believe, my gut feeling is why certain people, why the defense said we're waiting, like it's almost like we're waiting for trial 2 to show something like that in terms of calling certain people that I would have called. But how the jury is not told about Anthony Schatz, how the jury is not told about, here are these, these sketches. Here's the girls. It's absurd. Is that the line cutter in front of the camera? I don't know. Lana, don't put a gag order on our super chats. The thought of Jerry Holman speaking at that sentencing hearing, unbelievable. Makes me sick. Who's this guy right here? What were they just doing right there? Oh, James, I must have not have seen them. Or I went over them all at the end. I'm sorry, James. I thought I mentioned you yesterday. Love you, James. James, you usually get a bell too. Thank you. Let's go take a look at that really quick. I know that guy. She's scanning his QR code. She took a picture of it. Interesting. Didn't I read them, James? I missed them? Oh, well, I'm sorry, James. I definitely won't be gagging your super chats. Give it up for James. James, you get the cowbells too. Yeah, that's not the line cutter. God bless America. What time is it? I'm going to shave my head right now. I know I've kept my mouth shut until this sentencing hearing was over. I said, let me not even look at anything Delphi. Let me not look at, talk about it, because I wanted to wait till the sentencing hearing was over. And then I said, then I'll go to Pound Town. So James says, leave a Christmas tree shape on a head of hair. Oh man, he says, I wrote Biden last night since he was just handing out pardons. Didn't he hand out like 1,500? Fucking wild. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let's get some cowbell. There you go. You would just think that everybody would leave the one place and come on over to the other place. I mean, I'm hoping that they were having some beverages. I would love to see a tipsy press conference. Let's really get that Atlanta. Oh my God, is it okay? That's Aspen. Aspen's there. Okay, so he texted me. He's like, "Are you gonna be in town?" Because me and him will always have like a beverage when we see each other. I love the guy to the left of him too. Oh, that's Lauren's there. Lauren's there. Oh, I love her little assistant friend with the pink there. I love her. I'm gonna text Aspen right now and tell him to wave to the camera. Oh God, Aspen, where you at, Aspie? He's like, "Are you in town?" I said, "Fuck all that." Right. Hey, you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's going to speak is here. So this is your.
Oh no, go.
Relax. This is your 5-minute
Say
warning. I'll be
hi
back up
to
here in 3
the
more minutes for a
camera
2-minute warning.
behind you.
5 minutes and then 3 minutes back for 2. All right.
Okay, move the camera back so scoot up so I can see you. I'm gonna call him right now. Let's see if he answers his phone. James, thank you. He's probably vibrating. He's probably like, "Who's calling me? What's going on? Why is she calling me?" Oh, I can see you. Wave to the camera. We love you, Aspen. There he is. There he is. Yeah, move the camera. Aspen, check your phone now. I said, look back at the camera, like to the one to the left. The camera to your left. Throw up a TNT deuce. Which camera, my right or left? Oh my God, there you go. I just texted him. There he is. Zoom in. No, get back up. There he is. Get back up. Back that camera up. Oh my God, we love you. Listen, I'll say it so I'm like blue in the face. There he is. Is it to your left? To your left. There he is. Give a little wave. Give a wave. Back out of the cameras. What is this guy doing? we're probably missing it. Oh, bullshit. Oh, the guy. Okay, come on, ready? Back up. Why are you zoomed in on other cameras? Okay. Give a wave now
Ladies and
to
gentlemen,
your
2
left.
minutes. We'll start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2-minute warning.
Mic check. Everybody good? Everybody good on sound?
Move your thumb.
Okay. Thank you.
There he is. He's texting right now. There it is. Look at your left. Give a wave. He's texting. Remember, we're on delay. I want to see how much of a delay. Yeah, see? You see him wave? Yeah. Good job, Aspen. I love you. That's fucking hilarious. Woo! You guys, we did a who's who. There he is. Like a give a wave. Give a wave, Aspen. You guys saw it, right? We did a who's who. I was like, is it Doug Carter or is it Aspen? We like literally pissed our pants over that. I was like, I think Doug Carter, if he got hammered, would totally think you were his wifey poo, and he would just pull up the car and you would just come out and you could probably get in the car and he would just drive away, you know? All right, here you go. What's up there?
My name is Jeremy Pierce with Indiana State Police. I'd like to thank you all for being here today and for your continued cooperation throughout the course of this trial. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to the Canal Center for allowing us to use their facility today. As we move forward, we remain committed to keeping Abigail Williams and Liberty German at the center of our focus. Their memory has guided us every step of the investigation, and the photo displayed behind us serves as a powerful reminder of why we're here and what this case has always been about. Due to the gag order, it has been some time since we have spoke publicly about this case. Now that the order has been lifted, we're grateful to be here today and speak to all of you. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce to you the speakers: Mike Patty from the families, Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, and Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClellan. At the end of their remarks, Prosecutor McClellan will take a limited number of questions, and he has requested that all questions be directed to him. On behalf of those standing behind me here today, and all those who have dedicated countless hours into this investigation, we thank you all for your continued support. I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, Mike Patty.
Thank you, Jeremy. I don't have a nice speech all prepared. It was kind of a last minute thing here, but I really wanted to take the time to send out my appreciation that justice has been served for the girls. I want to thank the jurors. Hope they get a chance to see this, that they took time out of their lives and remained open-minded and objective and was able to look at the information and deliver a verdict. For that, I will always be grateful. The community. This community has embraced our families from day one and continues to lift us up and support us. And again, for that, I'll always be grateful. I want to thank them. The investigative team and the prosecution, thank you for staying steadfast and continuing to work towards this. It's been almost 8 years I lived almost working on this. Judge, I want to thank her as well for her steadfast, staying on course, staying on track, helping us get through this. Thank you very much. Tony?
Good morning.
He calls him Tony.
2016 and the beginning of 2017 completely changed the fabric of Carroll County. We lost 6 beautiful young girls, and all of that happened within a 6-month time span. My office is not a part of the investigation into the Flora fires that's being headed up by the state police. We would do anything that they would ask for us to do, and I know they're working extremely hard on that case as well. Carroll County is a tight-knit community, about 20,000 people. It used to be a place where people didn't lock their doors. I believe that the verdict and the sentencing will help ease some of that sense of security for the people of Carroll County. The people who live here are very resilient. I think you can see that just in the families, the Germans, the Patties, the Williams. Carroll County is an amazing place to live, to work, to raise your family. I want to thank all of the people of Carroll County and the families for their patience during this investigation. I keep hearing the word closure. People are coming up to me saying, I bet that you're glad that there's finally closure. There will never be any closure in this case. The Germans and the Williams family lost their daughters, their granddaughters, their siblings. Justice, a form of justice was served, but it does not bring Abby or Libby back. These families will live every day without 2 of the most important people in their lives. They're missing milestones because of a low-life coward decided to take their. Today is not closure. It is just turning the page and starting a new chapter. My heart is and always has been broken for these families. I want them to know that we stand with them, and I want to apologize to them that it took 8 years for us to get to this point. This case was quite the undertaking for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. There are so many people that put a lot of time in assisting us with bringing it to a conclusion. You see a lot of them right here, and there are many that aren't standing up here. There are so many agencies to thank for standing by our side. Just to give you an idea of the support that we had just for the trial, we had 36 outside agencies help us for just the security during the trial. February 14th, at least that many came to help us investigate this case. Everyone from detectives down to dispatchers to help investigate or just answer phones. I remember a conversation after we found the girls with Jerry Holman about whether or not we were going to take the case or Indiana State Police were going to take the case. Well, it was not my decision. It was not my decision, but I knew we didn't have the resources needed to do this on our own. Holman made a commitment that if we took the case, ISP wouldn't leave us and they would stand by our side and provide any of those resources that we needed, and they did just that. Tobe Lesenby was the sheriff at the time, and he asked ISP to stand with us. I want to thank Doug Carter and the rest of the Indiana State Police for being with us during this time. The reason justice was served today was due to one person, a person that only knows how to give. She has given herself literally for free to this investigation in different ways since about March of 2017. Kathy Shank, while filing, scanning, organizing, found a tip that led us to be here today. Throughout this investigation, especially when things happened during the month, that was a time when Kathy was not helping us. When she would come across something that she didn't know, she would always bring that to an investigator. And every time that she brought us something and said, "Did you know this?" We knew it, except for the tip that she brought us that got us here today. To borrow a term I believe was started by Becky Patty, a saying that meant enough to me that I had it on a sticker on my computer, in my car, and on my refrigerator at home. The goal was actually to be able to say the words, and they ring true. There is zero doubt that justice has been served, and today is the day. Thank you.
I had prepared remarks today, but I decided walking in here that I wasn't going to read them. John Perrine reminded me that 2,866 days ago, this entire thing began. I didn't know what I would think, and I didn't realize today we were going to be walking into the same room where many of you were, I believe in, again, from memory, April of 2019 or that time frame. And over the course of these last many years now, several of us, me included, have been mocked and ostracized for our emotion, for our inability to answer questions that you might ask, and the thought that we're something other than human beings. And I'm not going to apologize for that. I often say I wish people could see what goes on behind the scenes, and not just with people dressed like me, but citizens of this county and of this city. It's amazing, amazing acts of unbelievable courage and self-service and self-sacrifice. I wish you all could have been in the courtroom today and heard the victim impact statements. I'll always remember them. And I hope you'll get the transcripts and read what was said and try and understand the context of those words, even though you weren't in the courtroom. Over the course of these last many years, there have been many investigative strategies. Any notion of a cover-up, any notion of us deciding the outcome of this, any notion of any connection to anything else is not correct. I've never been a detective in my entire lifetime, but I get to represent some of the best on the planet Earth. And I listened to them intently. And when they made strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job was to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them. We lived by that gag order. The defense did not. And it cost a human life.
Are you
Anybody
fucking
that
kidding
shares
me?
those photographs of those two little girls should be
Oh,
held accountable. Whether they're to you, whether you found them in a place you didn't want them to see. I hope that if you ever see them, you'll picture your own children as Abby and Libby. I'll never forgive that. I will never, ever forgive that. We lived by the gag order. Documents were released from the defense that drove a public narrative that many of you talked about. And damn it, I wish I could have responded, but I was not going to violate what Judge Gall said.
Oh, this is so personal, Doug, isn't it?
So they were able to get these documents out there and create a public narrative that you and many others, many of you and many others believed around the globe. Baldwin and Rossi are responsible for that.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, he's going at them.
The family effects, I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives and how they've been forever changed, how they'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis by the name of Guy Relford. And I heard Guy on the radio after the verdict when a lot of hate mail came, death threats came. And I heard Guy Relford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense. They could see the state. They could see the witnesses, feel the emotion. And they could see killer view most times. You, me, it's human nature. Judge Gall was the keeper of the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors. And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of a human being. That's what our founders had established. And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you can ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do and what we shouldn't, and understand that their words have consequences to other human beings. I appreciated Guy's perspective, and it changed my view of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew to say things about other people, and that's okay. Hate me. It's okay. It's one of the only countries in the world where you can. So hate me if you want to. The investigative collaboration is something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we could ever do that. We are human beings, and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake made that we knew was wrong when we did it. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar. Jerry Holman gave the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We fussed with each other throughout the course of this. In conclusion, we argued with each other. I remember Tobe and I had an argument right here in this other room in April of 19, as you should expect us to. There was no groupthink. We debated each other, as you should expect us to. Ridiculous nonsense for Baldwin and Rozzi to have done that. And finally, most
Wait,
importantly,
what is going on?
to the Delphi community, doing what we shouldn't. How they'll never be the same. Amazing, amazing acts of unbelievable courage and self-service and self-sacrifice.
A lot of them right here, and during the month time when Kathy.
What is going
I often
on?
say I wish people could see what goes on behind. I listened to them intently. And when they made strategy decisions associated with what the next steps would be, my job was to support them, and I stand by those decisions, every single one of them.
What the heck?
We lived by that gag order. The defense did not. And it cost a human life.
Jesus.
Anybody that shares those photographs Baldwin and Rozzi are responsible for that, not this team. the family effects. I think you'll see the words that were spoken by the folks that spoke today about their lives and how they've been forever changed, how they'll never be the same. And they said it in ways that were beautiful in some kind of a mysterious way. There's an attorney in Indianapolis by the name of Guy Relford. And I heard Guy on the radio after the verdict when a lot of hate mail came, death threats came. And I heard Guy Relford say that day on the radio, and I called him 15 minutes after he said it. And after 40 years in this business, I never thought about the jury's perspective. But he said the only people that mattered in that courtroom was the jury. And he went on to talk about, he's a very bright attorney. He went on to talk about what they can see that we can't, that you couldn't. They could see the defense. They could see the state. They could see the witnesses, feel the emotion, and they could see your view most times. You, me, it's human nature. Judge Gall was the keeper of the peace in that courtroom, but the people that mattered were those 12 jurors. And we have a system of justice that allows them to decide the fate of a human being. That's what our founders had established. And that's what they did. I hope you all understand that what you say and how you report matters more than you can ever possibly comprehend. This is an opportunity for us to all learn about what social media is and isn't, what we should do and what we shouldn't, and understand that their words have consequences to other human beings. I appreciated Guy's perspective, and it changed my view of the criminal proceeding. Richard Allen knew. He could say things about other people.
Why was that cut out? Do you guys see this?
It's okay.
Richard Allen knew, and then it was cut out.
World where you can.
What the fuck?
So hate me if you want to.
Oh my God, they cut that out.
Investigative collaboration is something that I'll remember for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life.
Live my ass.
There's no way we could possibly chronicle it or articulate it or write about it or anything. There's no way we could ever do that. We are human beings, and there were mistakes made. But there was never a mistake
This delay.
made that we knew was wrong when we did it. I'll crawl across shards of hot glass for Jerry Holman. Jerry Holman is not a liar. Jerry Holman gave the last 8 years of his life to something much greater than himself. We fussed with each other throughout the course of this in conclusion. We argued with each other. I remember Toby and I had an argument right here in this other room in April of 19.
This is sick.
As you should expect us to.
They did it twice. Ready, watch, it happens right here again.
Us to. Ridiculous nonsense.
Right there, look at that fucking shit.
Alden and Razi to have done that. And finally,
what the
most
fuck?
importantly, to the Delphi community and to the family of Abby and Libby.
Dude, mainstream media, you are sick.
What we all feel. But what Nick McClellan did and the rest of the team that was associated with this, every single time it was about something other than themselves. It was about this community and that family.
Oh my God.
That can never possibly be repaid. How about we start to heal now? How about we hit that reset button and understand that justice in this country was served, and if you don't like justice in this country, go do another one. Let's heal.
Heal?
Tone down the rhetoric. Stop all the politics and all the nonsense and all the conspiracy theories, and understand that we all tried the best we could. That should be the message to us and to our kids.
Oh, really?
And to this most amazing place we call the United States of America.
Yeah. Do you even know what those words mean?
Well done. Thank you all.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Oh, this fucking cocksucker.
Good morning.
This is so
We all
sick.
just have a little bit of a sigh of relief that this thing is over finally. The convictions come in. We've got the verdict. We got the sentence, 130 years in the Department of Corrections. And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me. Part of the trial is over. That we got the conviction. That we got the sentence that brings justice for Abby and Libby.
It's not
Two of
over.
the things I am going to say are going to echo what Sheriff Liggett said, what Superintendent Carter said, and what Mike Patty said. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank some people along the way. Law enforcement, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, Indiana State Police, Department of Natural Resources, all the agencies that assisted in this investigation and the prosecution of the defendant, I want to thank. They were attacked by members on the internet for their integrity. They were called corrupt. They were called evil. And they were called liars. And they weathered that storm with professionalism and did what they could to be a shield for the families. Spent countless hours chasing down leaks of crime scene photos, countless hours attempting to scrub the internet of those crime scene photos,
What? That's what you're talking about right now?
and countless hours trying to protect the family as best as they could.
This is what they're talking about right now.
And so to them, ISP, Carroll County Sheriff's Department, DNR, the other agencies that assisted, thank you. We would not be here today if it were not for your efforts and your countless hours that you sacrificed away from your family and your friends to give us the evidence that we needed to get the conviction.
I'm speechless.
I want to thank my team, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell. There is no way I could have tried this case without them.
No shit.
We spent countless hours working on this case, away from our families, away from our friends, and no one will understand the heart and the effort that they poured into this. So thank you.
I don't deny that.
I want to thank Kathy Shank. She kept us well fed. She was the grandmother of our office, if you will. She made sure that whatever we needed, she took care of, and she never complained.
This is so crazy.
And without her, we would not be here. Without her countless hours of going over filings, of scanning in documents, of looking at reports.
That you didn't pay her
having
for.
the wherewithal to bring this to the attention of Sheriff Liggett. To say, hey, I haven't seen this before. Has anybody followed up with this person? Without her, we would not be here.
No
Without
shit.
her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence.
You better give her the 300,000.
She was the key part to this investigation. The needle in the haystack, if you will, that brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest. Kathy Shank, I thank you.
You don't give her the money.
And finally, the family. The Williams, the Germans, the Patties. Thank all you guys. The support you gave me throughout this. Those times when I said you had to abide by the gag order, that you wanted to respond to the things that were being put out there, the allegations against you, against your family members, that you respected me to the point where you were willing to agree to abide by that gag order for the betterment of the case.
Huh.
The fact that you supported me throughout it, and I know there may be times you doubted, but you endured. And without your help, we wouldn't have got the conviction. And without your victim impact statements and the graceful words that you gave to the court about how this has influenced your lives, we wouldn't have got the sentence that we got. 130 years. Maximum sentence on each count. And so I thank you. Finally, I'd
Becky
be remiss
was-
if I didn't
yeah.
thank Abby and Libby themselves. Libby for recording the defendant as he walked across the bridge, having the wherewithal to pull out her phone and
Oh,
record
please.
that individual,
Oh,
having
he
the
didn't.
wherewithal to know that something wasn't right.
She didn't record anybody.
Arguably the biggest piece of evidence that we had, that recording of their killer. And then to Abby for hiding the phone.
Hiding the phone.
from the killer so that he couldn't take it with him. Hiding the phone so that law enforcement could find it and get that piece of evidence that Libby had collected.
Oh my God.
Without
This
the
is
efforts from those two little girls,
vile.
we wouldn't be here today. So Abby and Libby, thank you.
Hiding the phone. Oh my God.
I want to say we're very happy with the jury's verdict. We're elated with the judge's ruling, or not the judge's ruling, the judge's sentence. The sentence is appropriate. As Judge Gall stated in court, the aggravators outweighed the mitigators, and the heinous nature of this crime deserve a fully executed sentence. I'll end with this. For keeping this case in the forefront, for keeping the tips coming in for us to investigate. But I will leave you this word of caution. Please, as Superintendent Carter said, the crime scene photos are still out there,
Oh God.
and more may be out there in the future. Please, if you receive those, delete those, forward those on. Don't re-victimize the family and the other family members.
Oh.
You can write whatever story you want and report however you want. You do not need those crime scene photos to do so. All it does is re-victimize the families and hurt the reputation of Abby and Libby. So please, if you get those, do not forward those on. If you get any other crime scene photos or autopsy photos or anything, don't forward those on. As Superintendent Carter said, imagine if they were your kids, your grandkids. You can write a story without having those pieces as part of the narrative. So please, do not forward those on.
The lack of blood is important, Nick.
I want to thank the community finally. Everybody in the community locally has supported my office, supported law enforcement. The show of support from them has been just unforgettable. I appreciate everything everyone's done. I appreciate the prayers. I appreciate the handshakes, the support, everything that everybody's done throughout this course office in January 1st of 2018.
What?
And I knew coming into that office that this case was one that I would have to investigate. What I had throughout that time, I appreciate it.
What the heck? They're just
And so,
they're
as Chief
editing
Pierce said,
out
I'm
all
gonna
this
ask you a few
shit.
questions. The gag order is lifted. You're more than welcome to talk to anybody up here individually afterwards if they want to talk to you. But I will take a few questions here and now. It's not easy. It's hard to put yourself in there. And so it's very difficult. It took a lot of phone calls, text messages, meetings. A lot of it was, hey, try not to read that stuff that you see on the internet, which is easier said than done. But a lot of it was just moral support and leaning on each other to say, we can't violate the gag order. Let's keep our eye on the ball. We need to get the trial and we want to try to get the conviction, and then we can talk. And
This
so it
is
was just
sick.
a lot of words of encouragement between each other, moral support, text message, phone calls, those kind of things. Go ahead. It wasn't a fight. She was just commenting about some things that were said at sentencing, and I'm just going to keep those things myself. Well, I don't know if she got up in my face.
What?
I'll just keep those things to myself. She was just commenting on things that were said at the sentencing. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Well, it's not up to the defense. It's up to the defendant. I'm not going to repeat his name. He's the defendant at this point. And so he has 30 days to file notice with the court that he wants to appeal. If he doesn't file that notice, then there is no appeal. And so once he files that notice, we'll deal with it accordingly. We'll work with the Attorney General's office.
Oh my
that represents the
God.
state, and we'll give them whatever support that they need in order to draft a response to that appeal.
He just basically gave a clue there. Oh, it's up to the defendant to do that. Are you going to prevent the defendant from saying, threaten him right now?
I feel confident in the verdict and the sentence. But again, I'm not on the Court of Appeals, so they'll have to make that decision if it comes to them. Sorry, Ms. Well, at this point, we don't believe any other actors are involved. We don't have any evidence to support that. If evidence comes out in the future to support that, we'll obviously investigate. We're not going to say, hey, no, we got the conviction. We're not listening to what you have to say. But at this point, we have no other evidence showing that any other actors were involved. If Richard Allen himself, the defendant, wants to come forward and give us more information, we'll gladly accept that.
Is that the reason for the amended charges?
The amended charges were we added the 2 counts of intentional murder. I did that because I thought it was appropriate at the time.
Thank you.
Yep. So, hold on just a minute. Do you have a question?
Yeah, can you tell us, or maybe ask you to speak on behalf of other people, how it makes you feel with the guilty verdict and the sentence? Obviously, it's the outcome you guys wanted, but how does it make the entire team feel to get to where we are today?
I think, I hate to speak for everybody, but I think, I hate to be cliche and use the word justice, but justice, vindication, to show
Vindication,
that the people
huh.
who came behind me weren't liars, weren't corrupt. You know, those hate mails and hate messages continue to come in from some podcasters, some YouTubers. But I think just justification that, okay, we conducted a clean investigation. We presented the evidence as best we could. And the jury were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty. Yes.
With only the evidence you allowed.
Who is all the other men? I may not use that word clear, but what I can tell you is we don't have any other evidence that ties them to the offense at this time.
Who? Who are we talking about?
What do you mean looking into the Anthony Schatz profile? Well, it didn't fade it out. He was convicted of what, 34, 35 counts? Not that we have any information of that right now.
What a sicko.
Sure. There's no significance in my mind to the timing. Once a person is convicted, they have a right to be sentenced within 30 days. And so I think the timing just was to try to get it in before the holidays because a lot of people do have time off and and the courthouses are closed. So there's no significance in my mind to the timing, but that it worked in everyone's schedule. I'm not sure I understand your question, but yeah, regardless of the time of the year, I imagine it's hard for the family to not be with the victims any day, whether it's somebody's birthday or somebody's anniversary, the other holidays we have out throughout the year. You know, Christmas is probably especially difficult. Again, I don't expect this verdict or the sentence to bring peace to the Patties, the Germans, or the Williams. I don't know what at this point could ever bring peace to a family member that loses a child or a parent that loses a child. What I hope is what I said. I hope it's a sigh of relief that this portion is over and that the conviction as it is now stands and that he's been sentenced to the maximum possible sentence. I hope that is a sigh of relief for them. And I hope that they now, like Superintendent Carter, can continue to heal and start to put this chapter behind them. That's why the plea to the media, please do not recirculate those pictures, because all that does, as Mr. Erskine said in his victim impact statement, it's like a scab or a wound that scabs over that is constantly ripped open. It's a constant reminder that our loved ones are put in this vulnerable position. My opinion is if the Indiana code allows criminal charges to be pressed for those kind of thing, if something comes to my office, criminal charges will be pursued if the criminal code allows it. Well, he can ask some questions after we're done here. So I'm not going to concede that. No, go ahead. Sure.
Your take from your professional perspective, you tried other cases. I'm sure you've watched him throughout the case. What was your reaction now when he was at?
It's hard for me to see him because the way we were seated, especially during the trial, we were kind of all crammed. We call it the well. We're kind of all crammed in there. So it's kind of hard for me to focus on him. And the way I try cases is I'm pretty focused on what I'm doing. And I try not to get sucked into the reactions of other people. I like to watch what the jury's reactions to certain things are. And so a lot of the stuff that she commented on, I didn't see from him. What I did notice from him is what I said in my sentencing recommendation, just the lack of remorse and the lack of regret, the lack of emotion, I guess, when the images of the victims are put up on the screen. You know, as a father, when I see those things, and you've probably seen me up here and other places, I get a little emotional about it, and it's hard not to. And so the lack of those things kind of struck me. I didn't see him roll in the eyes of the judge, of course, but obviously never a good thing to do. So those are my comments on that. Oh, yeah, just one more, then I'll be good. Yeah, sorry.
What piece of evidence, like from his demeanor to any parts of your case, what piece of evidence do you think did it for the jury and then to also elicit this maximum sentence? What do you think got us here?
Oh gosh, I don't know what did it for the jury. I think it was a culmination of everything that we had. I think once you start stacking that evidence against him, and as it stacks up, it's hard to say that the defendant isn't bridge guy. And if you can accept that he's bridge guy, you can accept that he's the killer. And that to me is the bottom line. And so I think I would just echo what the superintendent said and what Sheriff Liggett said, and some of the things that were said by the victims' families at court. If he truly wants to apologize to the families and admit to what he's done, now's the time to do that. So.
Can you think today that Carroll County is safer than it was 8 years ago?
I believe so.
What steps have they taken to make it safer?
Well, I think it's safer in the sense that people can have that sigh of relief to say, okay, we got the guy, we got the conviction. And so I think in that sense, it's safer. I've always thought I was born and raised here in Carroll County. I left, of course, to go to college and law school, but then I came back. And so this has always been my hometown. It's been my hometown for 3 generations or 4 generations in my family. And so I've always thought it's a safe place. And the things that Sheriff Liggett said, the thing that the victim said in the sentencing, that wasn't fluff, that we didn't lock our doors and that we knew everybody else. Those are true statements. This is a traditional, small, Midwestern town. And so I think it's always been safe. I think there can be that pressure off of people now to say, okay, I feel better. We got the guy, we got the conviction, and we know he's going to be in prison for 130 years. So
That'll be it for the questions today and for the press conference. I would just like to say thank you for all for coming out.
All
As you
right,
go about your day,
guys.
please remember the most important part of this entire thing,
So just so we're clear, there's
and that's the 2 girls that are behind us.
oh, there's a line cutter. Okay. So I have a lot to say about this. I'm going to do it a little bit later tonight. So I want to digest some things because I need a minute. What just happened up there is appalling. So go about your day. We'll be back here a little bit later. Thank you, mods. Thank you, James. James. Woo! James, baby. Super sticker. Christina Jarvis. Woo! Yes, I love you, Lana. Christina. Woo! Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back here. Bye.